Hello, friends, and welcome to our Pro-Life Reflections on the readings for the 19th Sunday of Year B. Elijah was fed on his journey to Horeb. The Israelites were fed on their journey to the Promised Land, and we are fed on our journey to heaven. In all three cases, God does the feeding. We also see that in all three cases, God's children complain when they face the struggles of the journey. The greatest temptation is to fail to trust God. And a failure to trust is what often leads to the devastating results we see in a culture of death. In their desert journey, which we read about in Exodus 15 to 17, the sin of the Israelites was to grumble in distrust. Their lack of trust, in fact, was the reason why they had to wander for 40 years, instead of going directly on a journey that could have only taken a few weeks. Even when God fed them with manna, they continued to grumble, getting tired of the same food every day. Some even wanted to go back to Egypt. Slavery seemed less challenging. At least they knew what to expect. The gospel passage from John 6 is like a replay of that desert grumbling. The Jews murmured about Jesus, John says, just like they had murmured about the manna. We grumble too about the difficulties of the journey, which is why Paul has to give the Ephesians the admonitions he gives in today's second reading. But Paul also gives the answer. Be imitators, he says, of God. Live in love as Christ loved us and handed himself over for us as a sacrificial offering. The gospel passage shows how Christ hands himself over to us in the flesh, on the cross, in the Eucharist, that we may have life. We are to imitate the mysteries we celebrate at the altar. The Eucharist teaches us how to live. The food we receive gives us strength for a journey in which we are called to give ourselves away. Some grumble about having to sacrifice, but we see sacrifice as a life-giving gift. Some grumble because things get in the way of their plans for life. But God commanded the Israelites to gather only the manna they needed for the day. And we pray to God to give us our daily bread. God is already in our future. Yes, we must plan certain things, but we must trust for even more. The more we trust and the more we sacrifice, the more we will give life, and the less we will grumble. Friends, to find pro-life reflections for the readings for all the Sundays of the year, go to preachingonabortion.com, where you can also order my book, Proclaiming the Message of Life.